Hi everyone, and welcome to my channel where I talk about movies. The movie I want to talk about today comes from 1932. This is Shanghai Express, and it is starring Marlene Dietrich on the cover there, and is directed by Joseph von Sternberg. And this is part of a great box set of 6 movies, Dietrich and Sternberg in Hollywood. Another great shot of Marlene and her mentor, Joseph von Sternberg. And in this set, it includes a terrific booklet, one of the best booklets I think Criterion ever put out. And we'll look at this booklet a little bit later. So I purchased this in the recent Criterion Barnes & Noble half-price sale, and it is at half price. This set is really a bargain. So the backstory here is that von Sternberg, who had some big hits in silent film days, including Underworld and The Last Command, goes to Germany in 1930, sent by Paramount to find their version of Greta Garbo, somebody who would have that sort of exotic appeal and would do good business throughout Europe, because Greta Garbo was a much bigger star commercially wise in Europe than she was in the U.S. So when he's in Germany, he commits to make a film called The Blue Angel, which would be starring Emil Jannings, and they had worked together on The Last Command in silent days. They didn't get along too well, but when Jannings was about to make the transition to sound, which would always be a very difficult thing for silent film stars, he wanted von Sternberg to direct the movie. So now he had to find a new star, and he auditioned some actresses. He went to a musical review. Marlene Dietrich had been in some movies, but she was very popular in music reviews, and she caught Sternberg's eye immediately. She came for an audition. She was very indifferent in the audition, but that's what Sternberg wanted. He wanted somebody who could express that kind of indifference, because it increased her appeal in the parts that, not only in The Blue Angel, the parts that he eventually would cast her in. So they made an English language version, a German language version. Now the English language version did not open in the United States until Morocco, their first film together in Hollywood, was released to great acclaim, and so there was an interest in seeing more of this brand new star. So then they released The Blue Angel, which was successful, and then they went on to make their second movie, which was Dishonored. Morocco co-starred Gary Cooper. In fact, Gary Cooper had top billing over Marlene Dietrich in her Hollywood debut, and Cooper was at the height of his good looks, his screen charisma. Sternberg would never cast the love interest for Marlene Dietrich with an actor of such stature again. Adolphe Menjou is also in this film. They're the two suitors for Dietrich in Morocco. In Dishonored, they were replaced by Warner Oland and Victor McLaglen. Victor McLaglen is the love interest in Dishonored, and very strange, very toothy performance if you've ever seen Dishonored. And both of these films are about a love that transcends all sense of logic, all sense of, they're just absurd, the love stories in those two films, but they're very moving. And in fact, the final scene of Dishonored with Dietrich is one of her greatest scenes in all her films, and she's just her indifference is very much emphasized there. Now, in Shanghai Express, we have a story that is, compared to the first two movies, is very maximalist. The first two movies were minimalist, very little dialogue. Dietrich did not know English, did not speak English well, and he gave her minimal dialogue. And there was really very few characters and very few scenes. But when we get to the Shanghai Express, we're talking about an express train traveling from Beijing to Shanghai, and it is a picture teeming with people, teeming with situations. There is one fantastic sequence at the beginning of the film where the Shanghai Express, the train, comes down the track, and there's about 10 feet in between each of the rails to the buildings next to the rails, and the rails are being used for a marketplace. Extras all over the place. I think they used about 1,000 extras in this film, and they all look Chinese, which was very unusual. And some of these Chinese weren't just extras; they had lines of dialogue. Very unusual for 1932. So the train comes down the track. There's a cow left. There's chickens left. And you wonder how they're ever going to get through. In reality, Paramount had rented a train from Santa Fe Railway, and there's a shot, I think it's maybe in John Baxter's biography of von Sternberg, where you can see they're like on a side rail with the sets in a big train yard. And of course the train was knocking down the sets constantly, because these were not permanent sets. But it gives you just it's one of the most memorable sequences, I think, in the film. So on board is Marlene Dietrich. She's playing Shanghai Lily, and she is renowned, infamous for breaking men's hearts up and down the coastline. She's called a coaster. So she travels up and down the coast of China, latching on to men, rich men, and then breaking their heart. Her companion, at least the companion on the train, is a Chinese woman played by Anna May Wong. One of Anna May Wong's really great performances. She actually turns out to be the hero of the piece, and she is a woman of ill repute as well. She's on her way to Shanghai. I think it's mentioned that she's going to be married. They are shunned by some of the other passengers on the train, but one of these passengers is a English medical officer, and he's on his way to Shanghai to perform a operation on the British Secretary General of Shanghai, whatever, a biggie, and they have a pass. Shanghai Lily and the officer have a pass. 5 years earlier, they had a intense love affair. Shanghai Lily left him. I think her actual name was Madeline in the movie. She leaves him because he didn't have enough faith in their love, and this was very important to Shanghai Lily. And he leaves. He travels throughout Asia, but he never marries. He still loves Shanghai Lily, but he is angry at her. And so when they meet, it's a very cold meeting. And whether this love can accept what she has become or not seems very much in doubt. Now, the lover is played by Clive Brook. So as I mentioned, Marlene Dietrich is not going to be playing against a very charismatic star. Clive Brook, not a bad actor, but he's as stiff as a board in this movie. He does deliver his lines in the Sternberg manner, has that rhythm of speech. But you might wonder, what does Shanghai Lily see in this guy? It doesn't really matter. There are other passengers that we get to see. It's sort of a grand hotel on a train. One of them, played by Warner Oland, he is half Chinese and half American, and he appears to be some sort of businessman. But his air of mystery about on the train gets stopped for a passport check, and they capture a rebel. And then when they come to the next station, the rebel army captures the train, and Warner Oland turns out to be the commander of this rebel. He's the leader of this rebel outfit. So all kinds of shenanigans go on board at this train station where we spend a great deal of time. And as well as so many people in this film, we get several supporting roles that are very clearly defined. The screenplay was by Jules Furthman, and von Sternberg was always dismissive of all his collaborators. You know, he did everything. But Furthman, you can certainly see some of the great lines of dialogue here have to come from Jules Furthman, who also wrote many films for Howard Hawks, and he worked with Sternberg on most of his films. And the detail in every shot, every shot is so meticulously composed. And Lee Garms was the cinematographer, and von Sternberg was known as having great knowledge of cinematography, and certainly by the time 1932, he portrays himself as the dominant force of the lighting and the cinematography in general. There's bric-a-brac everywhere. There's shadows, and there's poles and crosses, and the outfits, and especially for Marlene Dietrich, she has some incredible outfits in this film, which were designed by Travis Beaton. And this is an artificial movie, artificial world. This is not reality, and it's amazing that such a avant-garde design of a film could be made in 1932. And Sternberg, presents himself as an artist, which is really really poisonous with the studio heads. But the first three movies here were making money, and Shanghai Express, I think, was commercially the most successful of them all. But the movie comes down to the close-ups of Marlene Dietrich, and this is one famous close-up where she's praying. Her hands are trembling towards the end of the film. But there's so many great close-ups, the lighting, the makeup design. Lee Garms, despite von Sternberg dissing him or dismissing his contributions in his book, I guess, too, he describes how he relit Marlene's face to get it to the most impactful look for an audience to see, appreciate her eyes. Marlene had the greatest eyes in movies. In Dishonored, she does this dramatic thing with her eyes where she looks left, right, up, down. You can be amused by it and laugh at it, but I find it beautiful. The last 20 minutes of this film, Marlene Dietrich, and the way she acts, the way she is composed in the cinematography, simply unbelievable. There's nothing like it. These movies with von Sternberg are so of a kind. Nobody could ever replicate it. As the years go by, I don't know, von Sternberg's reputation, I guess, isn't all the greatest. He was in the Pantheon in Andrew Sarris's American Cinema book, published in 1968. And certainly he's not neglected, because Criterion has also got, I think, 3 of his silent films in a box set as well. But they're simply amazing, and this booklet is so fantastic. There's 3 great essays in here by Imogen Sarah Smith, Gary Giddens, Farron Smith Namey. They're terrific. You can't. These films are so rich. There's always something to find in them that is appealing. I did want to show this one shot. This is a shot where we can see Anna May Wong there, and we can see Clive Brook in his military uniform. We can see Eugene Pallette provide some of the humor of the film, and next to Marlene. This man over on the right-hand side, that's a French actor who was a mentor to von Sternberg during his early days in silent films. So the film did well. Now after this, there's 3 more films with von Sternberg and Dietrich, but they had diminishing returns. And the last film was The Devil is a Woman, which was a commercially unsuccessful. That's based on the same novel that Louis Buñuel based his final film, which was That Obscure Object of Desire. So Marlene, after they broke up, Marlene had some trouble getting her footing in Hollywood as a movie star independent of von Sternberg. She did make Angel, which was produced by Ernst Lubitsch and directed by Frank Borzage. And then Desperate Rides Again with Jimmy Stewart. I think that was 1939, and she really did cement her reputation from there on in. I remember as a kid seeing her on talk shows. She was a great interviewer, and she basically had a Las Vegas type act that was very, very successful. Von Sternberg, on the other hand, after the breakup, he really floundered, and he didn't get good parts. Again, the studio didn't want artists. They wanted directors who made commercially successful movies. They didn't want artists. They wanted people who did their job and got in ways that von Sternberg chafed against. But he made an effort, and there was one movie, Claudius, based on I, Claudius, where Charles Lawton was playing Claudius. They filmed for a week or two, and then the project fell apart. But people who have seen the remaining fragments of that film said that Lawton really was giving a great performance, and that could have salvaged von Sternberg to a more prolific and satisfying career for him. But nevertheless, we have these films, and they're really highly recommended. I might talk about a couple. I think I'm going to talk about The Devil is a Woman when I finally get around to talking about That Obscure Object of Desire, to compare them. I'm going to try to hunt up the short novel that it was based on as well. Okay, thanks a lot for everybody who managed to listen. I do appreciate it. Comments are welcome. Take care.